Hello, welcome to that Mill podcast. My name's Omar. Joining me today, I've got Stephen. Hello, how are you?
A lot better than what I was last night. For the benefit of the listeners, we're recording this just after the defeat against Leighton Orient. But yeah, better than I was. You, mate?
I'm not too shabby, thank you. We've got Ben with us. I mean, glass half full, right? That's what we asked. Ben, how are you?
I'm probably the glass half empty then, fellas. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I've calmed down about 2% from what I was last night.
Well, I can't wait to get into that with you in a short while, mate. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about the Leighton Orient game last night. We'll talk a bit on Saturday's game just gone as well against Hull. Obviously, how we feel we've got a point on the board and like good shenanigans, positive, clean sheets. We'll try and list some more positives as we go on the show, but yeah, I'll try and find some more as we go. We'll also then talk about some transfer news. We've been linked with 3 players today, 3 suggesting that they're going to get done. I'll tell you more about them when we get onto that. So yeah, let's go straight into it. Let's roll the intro, which I've not queued. So here we go, amateur hour over it, and we'll get started. Right then, Mill nil, Leighton Orient 1 at the Den. I know I said we're going to talk about the whole game, but it's a distant memory at this point for me, if I'm totally honest, lads. We got a 0-0 on Saturday at Hull. We knocked on the door a couple of times, probably, maybe, could have and should have maybe nicked it, but a 0-0 was a fair reflection of the game. I felt like positives would like to Jensen. I thought we had a good game, got a clean sheet. I kind of going to move on from that because I want to talk about the Leighton Orient game, and if you boys want to chime in with stuff about Hull, do that. But Ben, I guess I will come to you though, seeing as you're, got to calm down 2%, mate. What's your thoughts after last night, mate?
It genuinely one of the worst performances I've seen in a very, very long time. The first half in particular was nothing short of abysmal, to be perfectly honest. They had more possession than us. We didn't even record a single shot, let alone a shot on target. We looked lost. They looked better than us in every single department. They looked fitter than us. They looked fresher than us. The list goes on, right? We were just second best in every single category. And it was an absolute shit show. Obviously, they would have got a big rocket, I'm assuming, from Harris come half time. A couple of changes that were made. I'm sure we'll go into those that were surprising, considering the personnel that was on and how bad they were performing. But I think for me, mate, I didn't. It wasn't the fact that we lost, right? And it never is. I think in those competitions, especially when you make 8 changes, you're giving the squad players a go. I know you'd always expect to beat Leighton Orient, but it's always the manner of the defeat for me. And it was very, very, very alarming. Players that we've, as fans, have called to see more minutes from, very, very poor. And yeah, just highlighted a lot of the issues that we've got around the club in a minute in terms of the squad depth, but more importantly, the squad quality. So yeah, an all-round shit performance and evening, to put it very politely.
You touched on a few things there. There was 8 changes yesterday. Obviously, the team was Liam Robertson goal. I'm doing this off the cuff. Danny McNamara right back. Sean Hutchinson and Murray Wallace at the back. We'll get on to them in a minute, I'm sure. Left back was Joe Bryan. Midfield was George Saville with Dan Kelly making his first appearance after signing from Celtic last week. We then had George Homan in the 10, just behind Langstaff, with Aziz on the right and Amarku on the left. So yeah, 8 changes from the weekend's performance where we got the 0-0 draw. I guess, Stephen, to give a bit of context as well to this, Leighton Orient are 23rd in League One. They've lost all 3 of their games so far this season. 8 changes. You expect, obviously, to be a bit of, cohesion maybe missing, albeit they're our teammates. I know we've gone back and forth in the group chat today to Mickey, who is criticising the 8 changes, but end of the day, they're still professional footballers, and Harris praised professionalism of the squad when we went to Portsmouth, and he made 6 changes. So, yeah, I think yesterday for me is inexcusable, but what's your initial thoughts after yesterday and obviously the manner of the defeat?
Just unacceptable, but in a way that more so the fact that I knew the stat about that Orient were 23rd and they hadn't won a game, but we didn't really test their goalkeeper. Their goalkeeper's had 2 clangers in their last couple of games, and apparently, I don't know this for sure, and I'm sure some of our listeners might correct me on this, but there'd been calls for him to be dropped. because of the mistakes that he's made early season. And we didn't even test him. We didn't put any pressure on him whatsoever. There was one corner we had that he did flap at it, and it's just that level of performance is unacceptable. Harris kind of took a little bit of responsibility, but then, and I'm sure we'll come on to it, started to highlight perhaps certain individuals who maybe he wasn't best pleased with. But you can't excuse not being able to pass the ball 5 yards. You can't excuse no movement. I mean, in the second half, I mean, Omar, we were there right in front of us because obviously that stand was open. Ryan Leonard had to chase onto his own through ball. That's just we're supposed to be a team with the second tier of English football. Like, you get that on a Sunday league, you get that in a park. You don't get it at that level. It's just there's a lot of things to discuss, and we obviously did a show, didn't we, last week, and we were trying to say that it's not all negative. We don't want to, overreact, but you come off the back of that result, and considering we've only got 1 point, where else do you go? That it is only a negative feel at the moment, unfortunately.
Let's have it right as well. I've just checked it up and double checked the fact. But Leighton Orient made 7 changes as well yesterday, gents. So listen, it is the cup. It's not the end of the world. Let's be, honest about it. I can't wait to see what Leighton Orient get in the draw tonight. I know it's done in alphabetical order, but inevitably they're going to get a good draw just to, give us a bit of a jab.
It's nailed on, isn't it? It's just nailed on just to make it worse.
I actually looked at the numbers as well just before. So we would have been ball number 18 if it's done in alphabetical order, because Orient would have shifted and then Man United would be 17, we'd been 18. So ball number 18, we'll get a good draw tonight, inevitably. But listen, it's all, we're talking in ifs and buts and maybes there. But yeah, I mean, they made changes too, like I said. And I think it was just for me, like you mentioned it from the get-go. I don't think the players were up for it yesterday. And I mentioned, obviously, after the Portsmouth game, Harris praised the professionalism of the players, but yesterday was far from it. And I know Harris accepted the responsibility, like you said there, Stephen, but it also is down to the players for that performance yesterday. They had to go out there and carry it out, and it just, nothing happened. I think we had our first shot on goal in the 70-odd minute with Macaulay Longstaff, and we weren't even on goal. It was a header over the bar, like I mentioned to you boys before the show. And that just, especially, it's a cup game, 3,000-4,000 fans there, but there's a catalogue of things there, Stephen, that just didn't get going yesterday. And, they took their goal well 14 minutes in. But I think we gave the ball away cheaply. I think Aziz did it twice in a row. Second time went punished, and he had all the time in the world, didn't he, to get a shot off, get his Roberts and tucked it away.
Yeah, I mean, it started before that because Honeyman and Maku Honeyman and Langstaff made a run through the middle. Murray Wallace could have just gone long. There was no reason not to, at that point. Didn't, held on to it. Again, I'm not blaming Murray Wallace necessarily for the goal, but he could have gone long. Instead, it ends up with Aziz trying to do some tricks, which we all know at Millwall that doesn't particularly go down very well. The first one, 5 minutes before, looked really, really good when he skinned the guy, but when you do it in your own half and then they go and score, obviously you got some problems. But no cohesion, no plan, no real way of playing or style of play. Again, we'll come on to the 2 centre halves and perhaps another mention for Mr. Bryan, who had a bit of a torrid evening against whoever the guy is out. I think he was the guy who scored their goal, actually. It was just poor. It was just really, really poor. And I phoned my dad after the game. He couldn't make it, and he just said, "What happened?" I said, "Nothing. Just nothing. That I can't tell you. I can't tell you anything that happened because there was nothing. There was nothing. Sometimes as well, we've done this, and you say there's positives to take out of the game, and we can look. Maybe we can cling on to this. Nothing for me, and that just sums it up.
It was Dan Ajayi who got the goal. He was the winger against Joe O'Brien. You mentioned the 2 centre halves. Ben, I'll come to you on this one. Obviously, Hutch and Wallace. Wallace back from injury after sustaining it in pre-season. I guess thrown to the deep end, really. I mean, you wouldn't have really thought of it pre-game against Leighton Orient. Who've made 7 changes too, and they've lost 3 games on the bounce to start their season. But yeah, I think Hutch and Wallace probably both had games to forget, really, and highlighted their fragilities nowadays, I suppose.
Yeah, I think we saw it at Bristol City, didn't we, with Hutch against Sinclair Armstrong, and we've seen it again last night. That anyone with a little bit of pace, power, athleticism, and those two are going to struggle. We saw it pretty much all season with Muzza last year. it was so disappointing, mate. But unfortunately, I think that's just where we are with those guys now. And anyone, as I say, with a little bit of athleticism, a little bit of pace, you're going to see them struggle. And again, we're not even talking about championship quality players there. We're talking about League One players. I don't even know if their forward line was changed last night, if they were one of the 7 changes that they made. But in the first half, it genuinely was like every time they got the ball and ran at us, I was like, they're going to score. Or we're going to be forced. Robertson's going to be forced into making a save. So it was just, not good enough. Something that I tweeted today. We're great as a club at showing loyalty, but sometimes we just need to go. Look, Amari Wallace and Hutch the answer moving forward. Should they be? Should they be having prominent positions in the squad? I know they probably are squad players now, but even that to me is probably too much for them. And I don't want to get into a massive overreaction here, but it just goes back to the whole recruitment piece and refreshing the squad. And that's all you can really say on it, mate. It's just bad.
I think on the back of that as well, obviously Wes Harding didn't feature yesterday, and I've not seen anything online why he wasn't involved. Richard Carey done a tweet yesterday morning, didn't he? And he said, has been some interest in Wes Harding in this transfer window, but Millwall are not prepared to let the centre-back go. But you look at Wes Harding as a squad player, he's perfect, younger age than the pair of them. I think would have offered a lot more yesterday, easy to say in the aftermath. But no Wes Harding around at all, Ben, as well. And like, it's bizarre. Like, if anyone's going to go, it seems it's going to be him. But then you think, well, he's a good option as a backup. And you've got Hutchins, Wallace in particular was quite poor yesterday, but back from injury. But they're demonstrating their fragilities. But Harding seems to be that option to be a backup, I feel. Well,
at least with Harding, he's probably not going to get done with athleticism, right, or pace or power, because that's probably his key strength. He's not great on the ball. He's not great technically, but he's not going to get done by pace, or certainly too often, right? So, in a position that we lack a tremendous amount of it, and Tanganga is quick, but Coops isn't quick. Hutch and Wallace, I reckon I'd give them a good run for their money over 100 metres, and I'll probably run it in about 25 seconds. So, it was a weird one with him, right? It was almost like you thought he would nearly be the first name on the team sheet in the sort of rotated side. Weird one that obviously Rich said there's been interest, but we're not going to let him go. And then for him not to feature at all, not be in the squad or anything, I mean, I just looked at that. I hadn't actually seen Rich's tweet, but I saw he was in the squad and was like, well, Harding must be off. So, interesting to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen, just what are your thoughts on that one? Because like I said, like that tweet in the morning, they're not in the squad at all. Is he kicked up a fuss? Or I don't think he strikes with that kind of character, far from it, if anything. But it's a weird one, isn't it? His inclusion not being there. So.
There was talk earlier in the window, wasn't there, that he wanted to play, and that you can understand that. Every footballer wants to play. To not feature, and also I don't know if he was there yesterday. You never know, do you? Like, you try and look around and see players and whatnot. He must have looked at that back too at times and must have been thinking, how in God's earth am I not getting a go? Am I not getting 40 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever at any game time? It's baffling. And to touch on what Ben said, the loyalty thing, loyalty will probably be the reason that Harris isn't here for the remainder of the season or the full season.
Oh,
there's a bit of a bombshell, little bit of a bombshell there early on in the. But loyalty will be the killer, because the supporters are not going to. I mean, Bradshaw got injured last night, which we know is going to keep him out now for a substantial amount of time. So one of the players that he was being accused of being too loyal to, now he can't play. He has to do something else. Mm-hmm. But there still will be that loyalty thing. I mean, I said yesterday, 5 of the defenders that we have in this squad were here when Neil Harris was last manager. Mm-hmm. I think Danny Mack, you could probably argue, was in the youth setup, so he didn't really play that much first team football. He was still a Millwall player. Leonard, Wallace, Cooper, Hutchinson, Sav was also here. And correct me if I'm wrong, did Neil Harris sign Tom Bradshaw as well?
He did, yeah. On
So
deadline day.
again, you've got 7 players that were here. As someone said on Twitter the other day, it's 2024, Neil, it's not 2018. And unfortunately, and I know again the recruitment piece about has he been backed enough to replace some of these players? And it depends what side of the fence you sit on. But we're relying on players that, let's be honest, that first season in the Championship under Harris, when we had Hutch and Cooper at the back, it was fun. We weren't unbeaten for 21 games and we went on that magic run. It was a great time following the club 6 years ago. Like we haven't moved on and everybody else in the league has. And unfortunately, age is one thing that catches up with everyone. I think we saw last night that, without our first choice, and even one of them's been here for a long time, we're in, we've got problems. And unfortunately, Harris has got to try and sort that out.
I totally agree with you. And it's a real conundrum, that. And the Wes Harder story probably will carry on for the rest of the window. And we've got a few more days to go. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. I mean, I guess one bright spark I felt like in the first half, I mean, he got took off at half time, Ben, was Kelly. And I know we both said it as well, haven't we? We spoke about it. But yeah, so Kelly obviously made his debut. We signed him, paid £400,000 supposedly to get him in this side of the January window. So intent there to get him in and play him. He makes his debut and gets hooked after 45 minutes. Maybe he's thinking, get the Nora in, keep Savile in. I want my experience heads in there to maybe try and defend Harris's thought process there. But I thought he looks all right, Ben. I thought he was showing glimmers. He was battling in midfield, winning headers, and get on the ball a couple of times and looked semi-decent. Best out of a bad bunch, you could say. But I was a bit bemused by him coming off with Honeyman.
Exactly that, mate. Yeah, I thought if anyone was going to be taken off, he'd be the last person to be from that first half. Listen, he didn't tear the den up, but he certainly wasn't as bad as a few others that were on the pitch. Just going on someone that you mentioned there, Sav concerns me. Just his legs in there now. Yeah, it concerns me in there. If he's going to play every minute of every game, we need a lot of legs around him. And yeah, I keep saying it's concerning for me. But yeah, based on that first half performance, it was a weird one that Kelly got taken off, to be perfectly honest. He, as I say, he didn't exactly tear it up, but he certainly didn't look... He wasn't having a complete shocker like a few of them. So, yeah, I was surprised that he got pulled at half-time.
I think we're very reactionary, but we're football fans and we watch football and we've got our opinions after the game. So it is quite doom and gloom, but then equally so we could get results Saturday, can't we, Ben? And then it'll change our perspective. But that's what we do. There's no difference to everyone else that's at the game and watching it. It's just that we put it out online to give our opinion. But I wanted to also touch on Ainama Amarku as well yesterday, because I mean he did look interested for me from the minute go. Like, got bodied, didn't he, by Omar Beckles, I think 2 minutes in. Kind of, he ran through and I think, here we go, it's his opportunity. And then after that, he just non-existent. And obviously, he's been linked with a move away this window. Harris's comments after the game, which I'll get onto in a minute, quite damning, it felt like, of the likes of Amarku, didn't it, Ben? I mean, I don't know what your take was on that.
Yeah, well, look, I think I've certainly been someone who's been calling out for Amarku to get more game time. He's made impacts. He's made an impact when he's come off the bench or looked lively. We saw that first game of the season against Watford, right? He nearly changed the game, or he pretty much did, in our favour at one point. So, yeah, I've been calling to see more minutes from him, but I'm starting to get to the point of who are we to question Neil Harris when he sees these players day in, day out? And we just saw a really lacklustre, ineffective, uninterested, as you said, performance from Amarku. And people are going to be listening to this thinking, fucking hell, Ben is really on a downer here. But that's how that performance made me last night. And a certain individual, one of two, he was one of them. And look, he's one of these young players that we're kind of pinning our hopes on. We're going to turn him into something that's going to be decent, whether we're going to sell him or he's going to be a real asset for the club, etc. But puts in many more performances last night. He's not going to be at the club for much longer, to be perfectly honest, because you can't give players a chance and they completely look like they don't want to be there. Yeah, and we've said it, Stephen said it just a minute ago, loyalty is going to cost Harris's job. It's also players like that. If you're going to put them in the side and they're not going to perform to that level of bad, they will cost him his job as well. So, yeah, he wasn't in my good books and still isn't, to be perfectly honest, mate. After last night.
Stephen, before I come to you, I'll just read some of the things he said. So Rich Cowley tweeted last night asking about Idemo Maku and the loan reports around him. He went, and Neil Harris said, I don't know. A lot of the fans wanted to see him in the team. I gave him an opportunity tonight to play. He's a work in progress. He's a very young man. He's come from the League of Ireland not long ago and broke into Championship last year. He hasn't come through the ranks of League Two and League One. As always with young players, it's what's best. It's best to learn and develop on our terms, or do you loan him out to get minutes and learn on other people's time? We'll make a decision for Idemo before Friday's deadline. What that is, I've really enjoyed working with him pre-season. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes with our young players. And he goes on to obviously talk about, he's effective. We want him to be effective from the first minute rather than the last 30. Obviously, he's mentioned a couple of times in interviews, hasn't he, Stephen, that he sees him more as an impact from the bench. I'm starting to believe that as well myself, and I did see that as well a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, like I said, just echo what Ben said as well a little bit. But his body language he didn't look interested, and I don't know if that's him being annoyed at the situation, but he had his opportunity to impress yesterday. Maybe a victim of how the team was playing, didn't get much opportunity, but it was pretty poor, I thought, yesterday from Marco.
It's an awkward one, and I'm going to come back onto the Kelly piece as well because it's something that just come to me. But on Amaku, that tackle it was literally 2 minutes in. There's no way that Amaku should be caught by that guy. That Beckles, he should just breeze past him. He's got pace to burn. He done it. I know, coming off the bench, gets tackled, and it just almost as if he's gone. Oh well, I'm done. That's it. I can't beat this guy. So what's the point? And that's how it felt. And he just body language, just everything about him just screamed to me a player that kind of wants everything his own way, but isn't gonna sort of put in the hard graft when it really counts. You can't just expect to play if you're not going to bother and not going to try. I know we keep talking about him and Esse, but and again, I said this from a defensive point of view against Hull, and I actually thought without the ball again, Romain was absolutely brilliant. He tries to win the ball back. He's trying to show he wants to be there. He wants to play. He wants the manager to trust him. That's what we need to see from Amaku. I'm not saying we need to see him fly into tackles and come back and defend, but show you want to be there. And that's the difference between the two. Maybe Esse will, people will say he's come through the academy, gets it a little bit more. But Amaku's been at the club for a long time, long enough now to know what it takes to be a Millwall player. And he's worked with Neil Harris now for a few months. He knows what to expect from him, and he knows what the fans expect. And unfortunately, if you're going to put that level of performance in, I don't always like managers coming out and absolutely slamming players. I don't think it does anyone any favours. But what's Harris supposed to do? He's asked the question about him. He's not going to turn around and go, oh, yeah, he played all right. He can't do that because you get slaughtered for it because everyone can see that he didn't play all right. And on Kelly...
mate, just before you go on to Kelly, just want to say, you mentioned a bit on Esse there, Stephen. He come on in the second half, got clattered within about 2 minutes, went down with a head injury, and then within 5 minutes, he made a flying slide tackle. Now, I know that's not what we want from our technical number 10 that I put in the group last night. That's not what we want from Amaku either, really. You want him going by players. But it would have been quite easy for Esse to have gone, I don't fancy this either tonight. He's clattered me now. We're losing. We're going to go out. I'll just go in my shell. I'll go and hide. But he was actually, again, one of the players that sort of come on and tried to affect the game. So that's the difference. And that's probably why Esse's in the side and Amaku's not. And as I said, Harris will see it every day in training. We're not a party to that. But there'll be a reason why he's making these comments.
100%. And on the Esse thing there as well, there was one time he gave, I think he gave Roberts an absolute volley as well for not kicking the ball out quickly to Esse. And I think Leonard, when he'd come on, wanted the ball quickly. He didn't do it. And then literally, and Esse's 18 years old, and he's doing what his manager's asked. He's clearly taken on those instructions. So I think Amaku's got a long way to come back at the moment because based on the comments from Harris as well, I can't see him being the one that's going to get any minutes. And just quickly on Kelly, I thought he played quite well. I was amazed he went off. The only thing I can think of, and this might be wishful thinking, is Harris going to be brave enough to give him a start on Saturday? Is he brave enough? Because Sav played Saturday, he's played Tuesday. Can Saville realistically play another game this week? Much as I hate to say it, and you guys, will know that, but I agree with Ben. He can't. He hasn't got the legs to continue to play that role that we need from him. So my hope is maybe he might get some minutes on Saturday. We'd probably go with Sav and Denor, and that'd be that. But that's the only thing I can think of. He's thinking of the weekend.
Maybe. I mean, positive thinking though, Stephen. I love the positive. I'll say that much because we need a bit of positivity.
Is that the positivity we're taking?
Well, I personally think hitting to one of the links with the names that we've been linked with, probably going to sign tomorrow, be Wintle and Denor. If you want to think Saville's not going to play on Saturday, probably. Let's be honest about that.
Well, yeah, that's
Wintle
the likely one, isn't it?
But I didn't think Kelly done himself no harm at all. But then got hooked at half time. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe didn't get hooked. Maybe Harris thinking, like I said earlier, just positive. Get the experience heads
what's interesting though, and I think you said it, Omar, about loyalty to players and picking certain players. Last season, Casper Denor couldn't get in the Neil Harris side. Couldn't get a look in. People were calling for him. I'm starting to, and again, this is another can of worms. I'm starting to think, is the hype a little bit too much? Like, what is he doing? Where are we going with him? What is his role in this team?
Anyone here tell me anything he's done in the first 3 games that we've seen him?
I got daggers last season for saying the same thing. So I thought, I didn't see it. I really didn't. But I don't think he gets on the ball and tries to pass it, right? That's what he does, Ben, though.
Yeah. For a centre midfielder that plays professional footballer, well done.
The thing is, though, you're right. That's it. He's now getting game time, but we're not seeing anything. And look, he might be a really good player. And I think he probably has the range of passing that maybe if you could give his range of passing to a Billy Mitchell, you'd be loving life, someone to get around the pitch and stuff. But that's just not going to happen. I just think we've got a real samey, like we've always said, midfield at the moment, and it doesn't matter which 2 get picked, you're just going to have the same pick the ball up, go back to the centre half. They're not going to be brave enough to turn around. Is Wintle going to be? I don't know. I must admit, I don't know enough about him. All I saw was he's played, I think, 80 games in the Championship for Cardiff over the last few seasons. So he's obviously got experience at this level. But I don't know. I can't tell you if he's going to. Does he want the ball? Does he want to turn on the ball, or is he someone who's going to put himself into tackles? Someone in that midfield, whoever's playing, has got to really grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And I don't see that in Denor at the moment. And Sav just isn't capable, unfortunately, of doing it week in, week out.
Before I leave the midfield chat, I mean, to go on to transfers before we leave it, I had one of those Blackburn away-esque conversations on the way back. One of my mates, on Saturday this time, and debating as we do when you've had a few beers and you watch the game. I can't believe, and I've not seen a Millwall team like this where we're so second every second ball. We don't get on any knockdowns, any midfield battles. We're so slow to it. I do think it's a victim of playing Saville and Denor in there. There's no energy in that midfield, and we spoke about it on the show a couple of times, I think. But I can't believe we don't win any knockdowns in midfield. We play long to the short striker, and then we're not on any second balls. I'm just bemused by it, and yeah, I don't understand why that happens. And it's just we're so stationary in midfield, so slow to react.
If you get a chance, I don't know why I did this, but I did. I watched back the Watford game, the second half of the Watford game. Last 20 minutes, you watch how many times the ball drops in midfield and you see who gets on the end of it. It's not us. It's not us at all.
It's so bizarre for Millwall. I was just no second balls or anything. I don't know what you think, Ben, but that's just maybe that's what we're missing, that Billy Mitchell in there to get on them balls, maybe because he is a bit more energetic in the middle.
That's the word I was about to use, mate. Is a real lack of energy in there. Denor for me doesn't seem like he gets around the pitch enough, and people tell me he'll be a better player in a better side. Yeah, he might be. He doesn't seem. I'm trying to be careful here because I don't want to seem like, as I said, this is completely reactionary. I'm just gunning all the players, but all the sort of negativity that I had, or the bad traits of players that I'd seen, but I was trying to be positive about, last night has brought it all to the surface for me. But anyway, Denor for me doesn't seem to have that box to box sort of energy. Do you know what I mean? He's very much as you said, a centre circle, get it, pass it, but he's not going to get about the pitch. And I think in the Championship now, well, every level of football, you saw their 2 centre midfielders yesterday, like legs. They've got legs. They've got energy. They've got they were getting about. They were covering ground, and I've said it about Sav. Unfortunately, now I just don't see him being that, as Stephen said, week in, week out. I think he can be that sort of player, but he's going to be maybe a 60-minute man or your last 30, whatever. I just don't see him being a week in, week out 90-minute man that we've seen from George Saville over the last few years. I think if Ryan Wintour's got one skill or attribute that we need, it's going to need to be legs and athleticism, because that's what we're desperate for in midfield.
So let's move on to Ryan Wintle then. So we're supposing going to sign him on a loan signing. We've had 3 different links today from Richard Cowley, kind of confirming them all 3 as well. So it seems like there's legs to these stories, boys. So Ryan Wintle, the first one, he's obviously coming in on loan from Cardiff City, supposedly. He's played quite consistently for them, but this season his chances have obviously been phased outside. Cardiff not really doing great, but I mean, he's 27. He's a holding midfielder from what I've seen, and I remember him playing for Crewe years ago and being more of a kind of attacking midfielder, but seems to have settled into that position in midfield for Cardiff, and played 45 games the year before last, 37 last season. He knows the division, I suppose, Stephen, so there's one thing going from there, and he strikes me as a Neil Harris type player for me when I look at him, and I don't know what you think about that, but yeah, Ryan Wintle's first name. What do you think?
It screams to me 2 things. One, Billy Mitchell might not be back at all soon. There's talk of October, but I'm not sure we'd be signing someone on loan in his position for the season if it was October. Secondly, you're right. It just screams a Neil Harris signing, someone in midfield that can do that covering, sweeping role in front of the defenders, give them some protection, maybe get about the pitch a little bit more. Again, I love Billy Mitchell. It's a signing that's probably you're never gonna get really excited about signing a holding midfielder on loan, especially from a club that play in the same division as you. But I think what you said, Omar, is so accurate in regards to second balls, and that's not the Millwall that we know. It's not. We're used to being competitive and stopping those kind of attacks, and having someone like Jimmy Abdu, Tam Makandawira years ago, those players to stop teams breaking through us. So if Wintle can come in and do that, I'm all for it. We need, I've said it so many times, we need all the help we can get in a number of positions. If he's going to come in and give us that little bit of steel in the midfield, then I'm all for it. Not a glamour one, but probably needed, with Mitchell perhaps out longer term than expected.
I thought I read online he was on his last year of contract, but it says on Wikipedia, if you trust the source, that he signed a 3-year deal in 2023 August, so he's got technically 2 more years to run. So we'll see. I mean, I'll come to you about the next name that we linked with is Callum Scanlon, the left back from Liverpool, under 18, under 19, under 17 as well for England. He's featured prominently there, and Harris after the game yesterday said he wants maybe 1 or 2 forward areas, but we've got midfield and left back so far. We'll come on to the last one after this, but a left back, youngster from Liverpool. What?
Thanks for chucking that one at me, mate. I know nothing about him. I think none of us do.
Interesting though, left back we've been linked with as well. What's the take on that?
Yeah, I think we just needed cover there, mate. I'm assuming he's a left-footed left back. Again, that is an assumption. But yeah, we needed cover there. As much as I liked Danny at left back last year, and he had a great back end of the season, I've spoken about it before. I just like the balance of a left-footed player playing on the left-hand side. So yeah, we needed cover. I think with any loan signing, certainly a youngster from a big club, it's just going to be, are we promising any sort of game time? Because that will be a really interesting one. Because I'm assuming, again, Joe Bryan wouldn't be happy with that. I know Joe Bryan's been a bit indifferent, should we say, this season. I thought he was excellent against Hull, probably arguably man of the match, apart from Jensen, and then was not great again last night. So, yeah, look, we needed cover there. He's obviously coming from Liverpool. You'd assume it'd be of good technical ability, having played for England as well. So, yeah, look, an exciting young player on loan.
Yeah.
That's my positivity for the show. Done.
He's played 1 game for Liverpool. He featured in the Europa League last season. So, he's obviously not just making up numbers in a sense. He's obviously been, I think he signed for 500,000 from Birmingham in 2020. So he's got some sort of hope there. Maybe he's not really materialised just yet. He's 19 years old, tread on caution. I always think when you see a 19-year-old left back who's come from the Premier League, coming alone to Millwall, you're going to learn if he's up to it very quickly, I feel like.
Yeah, that'll be a very quick, can he make it at this level, won't it?
Baptism of fire for sure. But we'll see. I think it's interesting, Stephen, that we are looking at a left back there. Are we quickly, so we've got one more link as well, which comes in a minute, which is centre forward from Serbia. Bizarre, out of the blue. But are we quickly having a bloated squad there? Because you've got 2 left backs, 4 centre halves, 2 right backs, 5 central midfielders, 4 central midfielders. You want options, and we're obviously panicking about numbers, but I feel like there'll be a departure or 2 in there. I don't know what you think.
Possibly. I just want to say that I think, Ben, you've been very kind with your assumption, your describing of Joe Bryan yesterday evening.
It was so bad.
Very kind, but I'm not going to get into that because he's just. I lost my head yesterday, and I don't want to again. Yeah, I think there'll be departures. I think, the Harding piece from earlier in the show, it seems an obvious one, doesn't it, that he's not going to be around if he can't get in the squad for sort of a cup game. He doesn't look like he's got much of a future. Problem is, with the other defenders, realistically, I can't see any of the others going because we haven't got enough. I know we've got covering positions, we haven't got enough to say, "Oh, go on, off you go." I think Massey may disappear out on loan, which I'm not mad thrilled about, but if we're going to sign a midfielder, it screams that they're going to try and get in some experience. But we've got all this depth in these positions, but that's not the problem, is it? It's not. And I know Paris will say we've scored goals in the first 2 games, but Duncan Watmore is not going to carry on his goal per game ratio in the league, is he? Let's be honest, he's not. So we're crying out for some attacking flair and attacking players. So we've got squad depth in certain areas, and I would be amazed if we haven't promised this kid from Liverpool some game time, because there's no way these top 6 clubs give us any players. Arsenal try and do it, Tottenham try and do it. Obviously, we've got a better relationship with Spurs than maybe the others, but I'd be amazed if he doesn't get some game time and get Brian out of the firing line. Perhaps again another one that with injury problems, when we have the Saturday fixtures, maybe that's when you'll see a little bit of rotation with him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ben, you got something to add on the centre backs, mate?
Well, actually, what I said centre backs, but probably more just the whole back line. And then I was thinking actually the whole squad. The issue that we have got, mate, and you mentioned it being slightly bloated, is probably just with the injury issues that we've got. Sorry, the injury history we've got. Jaff hasn't played a lot of football. We're like, let's be honest, he played all the games for us last year, back end of the season. But prior to that, he basically hadn't played for 2 years through injury. Hutch was out pretty much for, 75% of the season last year with injury. Murray Wallace was out for a long time with injury. Joe Bryan was out for a long time with injury. So all these players that we've got, and Stephen, you hit it, when we start getting into 2-3 games a week, that's when we're going to see this side and these players that we've got with bad injury histories. Are they going to be able to hack it? So yeah, I don't have a problem with a bigger squad given the Poppadom nature of our squad.
Could even call it to the front area of Tom Bradshaw, mate. I know you love him, but
same thing, mate. Well, yeah, I mean, I'd imagine now, mate, that probably could be the last of Tom Bradshaw in a Millwall shirt, if it's as bad as Harris seems to think it was yesterday. Not the last in a Millwall shirt, but as in he might end up going in January now, right? If he's not going to play at all this side of Christmas.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
So,
I mean, well, we have been linked with a striker as well. So, I mean, I'll just quickly on Harris's comments last night. He says we've talked a lot about needing to recruit at the top end of the pitch. I think tonight we saw that very clearly with opportunities to impress for players who have knocked on my door asking to play, and the clamour from the fan base at times to see them play. I don't think there will be many people knocking on my door on Friday afternoon. We need a number 9 anyway. We certainly need a number 9, maybe 2. So in comes, well, he's due to come in apparently, Mihailo Ivanovic. If anyone can do better than that, feel free. And I can't wait to see Mickey on Friday. So yeah.
the new Stefan Meyerhofer.
Yeah, 19 years old again, very young, £3 million euro transfer fee supposedly, so north of £2 million. Coming in from Serbia, he's an under-17, under-18 Serbia international. Can't claim to know a lot about him, lads, but I saw a 1.5 minute video where he looks big, he looks quite quick. He's 19 though, and it's a championship. I like this angle, but I'm a bit worried about the inexperience we're signing. Like, you got 2 19-year-olds coming in, never played a game in a championship, and we're in a position where we need them to hit the ground running. and then you could extend it to, well, you said 2 potential number 9s coming in. Coburn, maybe Link. Is that? So do we write that off now, or could he be a loan signing?
Well, I'll chuck it back to you, mate. Coburn or Mihailo?
If they're both the same fee, Coburn, but it doesn't feel like it is. I think the Coburn one's going dead in the water, especially on a permanent. It feels like because of the price tag. So they put the price up. I mean, they got turned over, didn't they, last night? They were 5-0 down at one point. I saw Middlesbrough, didn't they? They got turned
Did you
over.
see his miss as well?
Yeah,
See his
that's what I was
miss.
about to say.
I did see the miss.
Right up our street.
Look,
I need to chuck that back, mate. Just more as an angle of
I think I'd go for Coburn if I had the opportunity. But then look, we've got to take a risk on some of these players. If look at Fleming when he came in from Fortuna Sittard, he hit the ground running and bang. But this, you're signing a 19-year-old. You know what Harris will be exactly like as well. He needs time to bed in, time to adjust, and it's not going to be an instant success. If it is, I'll be very surprised. But hopefully, after a month of being here, 2 months of being here, he could start to progress, get up to speed, and off we go. Maybe he's going to come in and score goals straight away, but I don't think Harris is the manager to steer that into him from the get-go, to be honest. That's my fear.
Well, the fly in the ointment here, mate, is Macaulay Langstaff. I say that because after last night's performance, I said there was one of 2 players that aren't in my good books today. He's the second. Again, we've all been ranting, screaming, calling Harris every name under the sun as to why he's not got game time. And if the performance last night has been anything like his training performances, I can quite understand why he's not getting the game time. I was not impressed at all. There's loads of mitigating circumstances around that, right? And the way that Notts County played was the one risk that they highlighted, or people within the Football League highlighted, that they created a lot of chances, and he was very much a poacher, fox in the box. He had a lot of opportunities. He had Jody Jones, who got 25 assists or something stupid last year, and created a lot for him. We don't create that amount, and his role in the Millwall side is going to be very, very different. And if we're looking for an all-round striker, now I don't want to kick the geezer after just one game, but I wasn't impressed with what I saw last night. So if we go and sign a 19-year-old and it's just a 19-year-old that comes in very unproven, we're short up top. We are short up top, and I am concerned as to where goals are coming from.
I agree, but even with the Josh Coburn argument as well, right? Like he's 2021 as well, and again he's played some games at championship level, but it's not an instant fix. I think Millwall are very clearly looking to the long term. I'm for it, but it's the here and now I'm concerned about, and I think that's where Harris's comments come into play, and you got the Harris versus club argument because. Let's go there. I do think there is a Harris versus club argument at the moment and clear divides, but then it's a difficult one because I don't know. I think Harris's comments as well. I didn't want to come onto it today, but he is bitter towards the club. It feels like, and he's bitter towards the fans as well. A bit when he says the fan clamour. He said in 2 or 3 different quotes, the fan clamour to play these players, the opportunities that they want to play these players. He's listening to what the fans are saying, and I don't normally think Harris is that kind of person. I think Harris is very much my way. We'll live and die by the sword, but he's thinking about what's going around. I don't know what you boys think, but I don't know. It's a bit of a uneasy stage to be 3 games into the season and out of the cup, and it's not the end of the world. But you've not won yet, and Saturday's going to be a roller coaster.
Realistically, we're asking who would you rather have? Who would Harris rather have? Coburn or this Serbian guy? And I'll be honest with you, I think the answer is neither. I think he wanted Lyndon Dykes. Yeah. So who a lot of Millwall supporters didn't want. Let's be honest. I wasn't mad keen when I saw that. I wasn't mad keen when I saw the link to him. He's gone to Birmingham. Good luck to him. But you're right. There is a clear strategy in place. If you look at the signings that we've made, they're long. A lot of them are longer term. Aziz is a longer term. Kelly is longer term. Tanganga, I think, is still looking for the future because the comments were all about potential. He might not be here forever, so that they're thinking about what you might get for him. Tying down Essay, tying down Massey, those kind of signings and contracts and stuff are for the longer term. But Harris has got to front up every single week on the touchline and then to the press and be faced with, why aren't you playing Amaku? Why aren't you doing this? Why are you doing this? And
It's almost like we need a young, fresh coach, isn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Not Joe Edwards, clearly.
What's he up to these days?
The thing is, people, we have a laugh and a joke about that, but this kind of scenario probably would have been the one for him. When he took over from Rowett, we needed stability because we'd had stability for a long time and it was going to rock the boat and obviously John passing and whatnot. Edward, we've all said, maybe right person, wrong time. I know some people will laugh at that and go, the guy was out of his depth, but Harris is now being told who he's having, make it work. That's the assumption that I'm working on. I think other fans are working on that too. He's never been put in that position before. Joe Edwards would probably have accepted that, or someone like Edwards would have accepted that. Look, this is the vision, make it happen. And he would have gone to the training ground and tried to do it. Harris is being told, we're bringing in, let's face it, Neil Harris knows, maybe I'm doing him a disservice here. He ain't gone out to Serbia to watch this bloke play, is he? He ain't. He just hasn't. He's been told, we found someone for you, Neil. Get him up front on Saturday.
He was on an EasyJet flight out of Heathrow. Have a look at it. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's true. But then, obviously, the club, that's what I'm saying, it's a club angle. This is what it feels like. But then, I love Harris to bits, but he's not a technical manager that's going to develop players, I don't think. He's a very clear cut, like, this is what it takes to succeed. I mean, well, I'm going to make you do that. And if you can't do it, then we'll move on. I'm doing him justice there because I do think he can be a good coach, but you watch our play, there's no patterns, there's no, these Joe Edwards that are doing it for years and years, this is ingrained to their coaching style, and that's not Harris's coaching style. Harris's coaching style is, this is the most effective way to play, we're going to get it out of the team. So, I don't know. It's a tricky one. What do you think, Ben?
Well, again, mate, I think you've said it perfectly, right? I think that's where we need to decide where we're at as a club. Are we in a win now, save the club, we can't go down? Or are we going, okay, dare I say it, we might need to go down, but we're going to blood all the youngsters in. And we're going to look at them as they're going to play for the next 3-4 years. We're going to go down to League. We might go down to League One, or they might have great seasons in the Championship, but that's the way we're going, right? And I think at the minute, the manager, this is just my opinion and probably our opinion here now, the manager, the club and the recruitment doesn't align. And that is a bit of an issue. So if we're happy to say we're going to play the youngsters, we know they're probably not up to it just yet, but yeah, we're looking at them as assets of the club and we want to improve them and then look to sell them on, or obviously they improve us and then move us up the league. That's fine. But I think that needs to be a message from the club to say that, because otherwise we're going to be all going, well, why is Amaku playing again? Because he's been useless for the last 5 games. Whatever. Do you know what I mean? And even with this young lad, I was probably being a bit harsh on him just a minute ago, but look, we don't know anything about him. He might come in and score 30 goals. I hope to God he does. But I think we're spending a lot of money on an unknown. And I think that's the question mark, right? But as I say, look, if the club vision is we're going younger, we want to bleed the youth in, I feel like there needs to almost be that statement by the club. And I know they would never do that, but as I say, it just feels like we're not aligned at the moment, which is the concerning thing.
Because it's a tricky one, isn't it? You don't want Berylson to be saying, or Gans coming out too much and saying they were doing this. It's like they're playing almost with our club in a sense, like they're ripping up the plan and this is what we're doing. But you've got to trust them because they're the custodians of what we're doing now. So it's a tricky one, but you're right. There needs to be some sort of like, this is the direction we're going now. We'll probably get it after Harris leaves. When that is, I don't know. It begs the question though, because I don't know. It's gonna be a roller coaster. I think even getting to Saturday, I hope seeing Fleming comes back and scores a hat trick on Saturday, and then we can all just chill and relax and laugh about it because we're like, that's the why we're winning shit. We're missing him, but I don't know, Stephen. It's a big ask there.
It is a big ask, and we aren't perhaps blooding in the youngsters. But I ask you, as of today, how many of our youngsters that we've got on our books, whether they've just signed or they've been there for a while, realistically, how many of them would be getting opportunities in other Championship clubs in their first team? The only one is Romain Esse. He's not all clubs. People would say Amaku because of his pace. If Championship clubs were looking at him last night, he wouldn't be getting in.
It'd be lucky to get in Leighton Orient side after last night.
Well,
That's not even a joke, is it?
No, exactly. they'd be looking at him going, well, he can't be asked, and they saw it firsthand. So, and I get the bleeding in the youngsters, but you've got to do it the right way, and they've got to be. We have to believe, and the club or Harris have to believe that these young players, and if it is the young Serbian guy or Coben, because he's young himself, are they capable of coming in and playing at this level, or are we just simply saying we're going to hope for the best for 46 games, and if it's enough to keep us up this year, great, but realistically we're just going to plan longer term and see what we can do and turn the club's fortunes around longer term. That's it. SA for me is good enough to play at this level. 100% he's good enough to play at this level. I'm not saying he's ready for the Prem. Who knows in a couple of years. And Maku on last night, he's not. Kelly, I haven't seen enough of him, but they obviously think there's a player in there, but we can't comment on that. Massey probably not ready to be playing 30 games in the Championship. So we're putting our faith in a system, but as you said, Omar, it's not for right now. It seems it's putting in the building blocks for someone to take over. But what are they going to be taking over? Are these players going to be happy to stay getting slagged off for 46 games because they're at the bottom of the league? It's really difficult, and it just comes back to what you said, mate. The management, the coaches, and the board are not aligned.
Yeah, it's only 3 games into the season, though, guys. And
I know.
Apart from that,
there is plenty of time to turn it around. If it wasn't for Jensen, we would have got 3 points on the first game of the season. God, and if it wasn't that Tango was suspended, we would have won at Bristol City. So,
is it bad that feels like that's a very long time ago?
It does, doesn't it? It's mental.
That's it. That's the problem. And I know people say, "Oh, you're too negative. You only want to talk about negative, this, that, and the other." It's not the case. We're seeing it. We're seeing it how it looks and what we're seeing. And after we've played 5 games this year, one of which was against a team in a league below us, and we've conceded some shocking goals, and we can't really see what direction the club's going in. So it might only be 5 games and 3 league games, but it doesn't take an idiot to see what's happening in front of us, and you can only call it that way. I hate saying after 3 games. If someone said to me, Harris needs to be sacked, it's 3 games. You don't sack your manager. I don't want us to sack our manager after 3 games, but that's just how football is now.
This is almost like our argument after Blackburn.
Yeah, you know what, boys? We will be there. We will be there.
Yeah,
I'm not missed the game yet. I don't know. They're trying my arm, but the fixtures look good for September, so I'll just stick around a bit longer.
I said we basically pay every week just to put ourselves through depression. That's basically what it feels like.
By the way, if there's any listeners that have lasted 52 minutes, I'll be fucking amazed.
Yeah.
This is our club. I wouldn't change it for the world, I promise. I wouldn't change any single bit about this at the moment. This is what we do it for, though. When we go through these pains, right, and when we do win 3-0 on Saturday and seeing Fleming score the hat-trick, and he's doing that in front of the Cole Malone end, and I'm like, yes, Ian, worth it.
Well, I was going to ask predictions, mate, so there you go, 3-0 for Omar. That's it, that's done. That's locked in.
Yeah, 3-0 done.
Stephen, predictions?
1-0. 1-0. This big Millwall, this big Serbian geezer is going to sign on tomorrow afternoon, and they'll get him registered in time, and he'll do a Stefan Meyerhofer and like jump in the crowd or something, and then we'll lose him for 4 games or something stupid like that.
Ben, what's going to be Saturday, mate?
I think we'll win 2-1, just because I think Harris.
We're a Millwall podcast, and you're not going to go against us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I actually think once we've stopped recording, no, I don't think we'll win, purely because it's like Harris will know the backlash that's probably come over yesterday, probably over the next few days. Still, so yeah, I just think he will look at it and must not lose. So I can see it also probably being 1-0, but I think we'll win.
Fingers crossed. I think that's it.
Just before we go, Bart Bilkowski retired from professional football yesterday, I believe it was. Yeah. Just think it's worth a mention. Great servant, great bloke by all accounts as well. So wish him well in his retirement, because outstanding keeper in recent history.
Agree. Well said.
Well said, mate. Well said.
Yeah, sentiments there to be shared for sure. That's us. That's Millwall podcast. We took the trials and tribulations of yesterday, I think, quite well. And if you've got anything you want to add into this and all the comments, please do so in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, follow us on Instagram or Twitter. Be sure to.
No one is subscribing after that, mate.
Listen, this is what we do. We're ups and downs. And throughout the season, this is what we do. We document how we feel, because I tell you what, everyone walking out that ground yesterday shared our thoughts, and we just kind of document them and put them online for you guys to rip into us and say what you got to say. So, yeah, cheers, Stephen, for coming on, mate.
Yeah, I look forward to Saturday. We do it all again. We go through the as you say, the ups and the downs. Look, let's try and leave it on a little bit of a positive note. Transfer window's still open. Signings are coming in. We're only 3 games into the season. By my calculations, we can still reach 100 points. So, dream. If you're going to dream big.
Love that. Ben, any last words, mate? Thanks for coming on.
I just want to apologise to everyone that's had to listen to me rant and rave for the last 55 minutes. But as you can probably tell, last night really pissed me off. No, look, genuinely, that was like a therapy session, so I feel so much better now. Yeah, 3 points Saturday. The big Serb's going to score a hat-trick, and it will be rosy in the world. And I look forward to a much happier pre-recorded show next week.
I can't wait for us to get a deal done on Friday, and it'll be international clearance is not done on Saturday, so that's none of this is true. But
probably more likely.
Friday Night Live will be happening Friday, and it is deadline day, so if we don't get any deals over the line, it looks like we're going to get free.
Has Mickey got a full yellow suit? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. He's going to be saying "There we land" every 5 seconds as well. So fingers crossed. But yeah, that's us. Be sure to check it out on Friday. Probably go live at 8 o'clock, and we're going to leave you there. Thanks for listening, guys, and see you again soon.